Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for How We PTA Connected. My name is Alyssa Monchal. I'm a manager of programs and partnerships here at National PTA, and I work on the PTA Connected initiative and our family reading experience. Here with me today, I have Colin Robinson, and I'll let Colin introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Colin Robinson. I'm the PTA Connected Board Ambassador. So I'm on the board of directors for National PTA, and I get to talk about PTA Connected with all of our community around the country.
And we also have David Way.
Hi, my name's David. I am the treasurer at Marshall Fundamental School in Pasadena, California. And yeah, I help coordinate different activities such as this Smart Talk grant that we got through National PTA.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Colin. Thank you so much for being here with me today and talking about PTA Connected and National PTA programs. Today's workshop is brought to you by our presenting and founding sponsor, Norton LifeLock, our founding sponsor, Google, and our supporting sponsor, TikTok. All right, so today's goal, we hope that you are attending this workshop because you are interested in learning about how you can help your community talk about digital citizenship and online safety. So you will leave this workshop with information and tools and resources on how to successfully run your own PTA Connected program with your school. So we'll start out with a little bit of reflection. We'll say, what is PTA Connected? We'll talk a little bit about the 4 Eyes of Family Engagement, focusing on integration. We'll share some tips and tools and where you can find all of the national PTA supports to do your own program. So reflection on past digital citizenship or online safety programs. If you have a moment to just think about things that your PTA has done in the past, you can go ahead and respond to any of these prompts. Doesn't have to be all of them in the chat box. So has your PTA run an online safety program before with your PTA? If you have, what were some of the biggest difficulties that you faced in running that program? And did you partner with your school's district technology specialist or your librarian or your tech teachers to do that program? Go ahead and drop that in the chat. And while you do, we're going to talk about it here. So David, I know that you hosted one of our PTA Connected programs at home, Smart Talk programs this year. In running that program, were there any big difficulties that you faced?
Yeah, we did as you know, we did the Smart Talk digitally, remotely because we weren't gathering in person. So the challenge was normally you can organically connect with other parents, students can connect with each other. So the biggest difficulty was getting the word out and making sure people, even just from parent to parent, to make sure people knew what was going on. Our overall PTSA membership was lower than it has been in the past, and that was true across our district as well. So just being able to connect with each other and hear what's going on.
Yeah, it's so great. I'm glad that you were able to get your program off the ground, and I'm excited to hear more about how you did that. But I think that's really similar to what we're hearing from a lot of PTAs, that it was tough to figure out how to PTA at all this past year. Colin, are there any difficulties that you faced in running programs or any other ways that you have reflected on past programs?
Yeah, I think this year more than any, I think a lot of people were on kind of Zoom burnout. So it was another Zoom meeting or another, go-to meeting or whatever people were doing to get online at the time. I think that was probably the toughest thing to kind of get past. And then, as far as partnering, we did a lot of the offline work in the past years, and so this year going online, still trying to partner with a lot of those district folks who are in this space, and then also when you're running for the younger kids, trying to partner with like the high school age kids and bridge that age gap from a child to a parent with kind of that intermediary who can speak both languages in a little bit. I think that was the best place I saw partnering occurring over this last year.
That's a really good point. Partnering with students too, right? Like that's, especially in the online safety space, there's such a wealth of knowledge from the older kiddos that can be passed down to the younger ones. And so I hope that you have got your juices flowing on different things of roadblocks that you've had. And we're going to hopefully share with you some resources from National PTA through this presentation that will help you remove those roadblocks. So Colin, if you wouldn't mind just sharing about PTA Connected.
Yeah, absolutely. So the initiative really takes a holistic approach to providing PTAs with programming and resources that addresses online safety, literacy, digital wellness, access, and equity in a way that's approachable for all families, no matter where they are in the digital landscape. And then, as we've known from the in-person stuff that we used to do for PTA Connected, they used to be run as a family nights at school. But being the Connected initiative, we were really able to pivot to an online space over this last year, which allowed families to take the resources and go at their own pace, whether they were at home, kind of as a family, or whether they were part of a larger event thrown by the school. And then, so the PTA, the programs themselves through PTA Connected, they're designed really to help us move away from traditional, like a lecture-based model, right? As much as I love standing in front of a room and talking for 45 minutes, that really doesn't give a hands-on approach to what digital safety is in real life, because we really wanted to empower PTA leaders, students, and their families to have really productive conversations, and that doesn't necessarily happen with a lecturer in front of a room. And these programs really gave time and space for families and communities to work together, making kind of a safer and better internet for everyone. I think the big difference between a PTA Connected program and kind of bringing in an outside speaker is that parents and family members and students and communities, there's kind of this guaranteed practice of these new habits as they're sitting around a table, whether it be at their dinner table and watching online together or actually in person. It seems much more relevant to the community and will help keep them safe as they grow online. I think one of the biggest things, whether online or offline, with PTA Connected, is to meet the community where they are. The programs were really designed with different ages and different experience levels in mind. I found a lot of what was happening was parents would come in and their kids would understand a lot more of the online world than they did. And so almost for the first time in a parent's kind of parental life is they had to almost take a back seat and become the learners and learn from their kiddos, which can be sometimes tough because as a parent, we sometimes want to be the experts on everything. One of the greatest ones was the Be Internet Awesome family workshops. And that was a great way to establish online expectations and behaviors for some of the younger students. While on the other side of the spectrum, for some of the older kiddos might have been the Digital Families community events, which provided more guidance to walk through common online scenarios that maybe starting from middle school and above, and what they face every day, and really give them the opportunity to practice and role play how they might respond and receive feedback directly from their family members that were there. And then the Smart Talk, we really feel is definitely flexible for all ages. This is one I started when my kiddo was 12, when he kind of got his first phone, and we were able to go through this. He's 16 now. And so with the Smart Talk, you can host it directly. You have a facilitator, maybe a student panel, and it's all about kind of guidance on how you can kind of create a contract And I believe David's going to be able to speak more about that later on. This is an event that families will use the Smart Talk, which is National PTA's online safety contract that students and their family members set as their own ground rules. And this is just kind of some guidance. It's like a roadmap, right? But what you do at each step is really up to you. And you decide what's the best and most appropriate online behavior between you and your family. So in the fall of 2020, this past fall, all the National PTA program materials were updated to include facilitation resources that helped you meet your families where they physically were, whether in school, online, or at home, so that you didn't necessarily have to be that expert in the field to be able to run one of these programs.
Great, thanks, Colin. And thank you for touching base on all of the different options that there are for programs through PTA Connected. I know we're going to spend a lot of time with the Smart Talk today, but if there are other interests that your PTA has, please know that there are options for you, and that we really hope that your PTA can grow with these events. The various programs within PTA Connected are kind of meant to be a circular journey that you could host Be Internet Awesome, and then the Smart Talk, and then Digital Families, and then the Smart Talk, and come back around to a whole new set of families and start with Be Internet Awesome all over again. And it's really, I think, one of the reasons why we wanted to focus on the Smart Talk today is that the Smart Talk is the most flexible of all of the programming options that we have. So David, if you could tell us about your experience with the Smart Talk, I think it'll help people see how they can run a Smart Talk program at a distance or in person or even over a longer period of time.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share. So the Smart Talk, as we're talking about, we had to do it because we weren't in person. Everyone had to do it on their own, So, starting out, we received the materials from National PTA. We received handouts. We had all the materials to do it. So our first thing was trying to get the word out there to make sure people knew what was going on. Hey, we have this grant, we have this program. What is the Smart Talk, and letting people know what's going on. So to do that, from a program standpoint, we used Google Forms to register everybody so we can gather the information of who's actually participating. And then to incentivize people, because we got feedback that people are tired of just being online all the time. So we need to incentivize people like, okay, we are going to talk about being online and digital, but you have an incentive. So we put AirPods are the grand prize if you enter to win. And we got, I think that helped incentivize the students like, hey, mom, dad, I want to do this. I want to win these AirPods. And then from a marketing standpoint, one of our concerns was just reaching people. Another feedback point we got was, I'm getting too many emails, because everything is online. Everyone's just getting a whole bunch of emails. So not only did we do the blasts, but we sent individual emails, and we got some better responses when we reached out individually to like every single person. And then we also sent postcards with that you can see on the screen that we have used QR codes which link directly to our Google Forms, which made it super easy to just connect. I know there's still people getting used to what is a QR code, but that was super helpful to do that as well. Our principal does a phone blast every week, so we had that included as well. And then we use our social media, our website, both the school and the PTSA to just get the word out. Hey, we're doing this. The office talked to the teachers and said, hey, offer extra credit if you want to. So we had some teachers participate in that. And you see in the little graphic that we also offered some of the material in Spanish so that, we have a good size Spanish speaking population, and they were able to connect with that and not
David,
feel like they're,
I just wanted to ask a question. It looks like your program ran for about 3 weeks
Yes.
at any time. because with all of this Zoom fatigue, was there a requirement in the way that you ran your program for people to join a Zoom like we all are today?
No, we didn't require that. We talked about it, but we decided to just get the word out and very specifically, hey, just sign up and then we'll give you the instructions, go over the handouts. The main thing is to do the smart talk. And then when you're done, post a photo on social media so we can share, hey, congratulations on participating and finishing that.
Great. So what's cool about the Smart Talk program is that you don't have to get everybody together in the same place at the exact same time to successfully help families establish some better online safety and digital citizenship habits. David, do you mind talking to us about like what the Smart Talk looks like?
Yeah, so we have a short little video about kind of walks you through. This is the actual Smart Talk website. So it shows you right up front. You click on, hey, get me started. You see it's really user friendly. You put your name in there, you put, kid's name, parents' name in there. And then as you walk through, as you saw earlier, there are different specific topics that we can walk through. So for example, this first one is the social media and respect. So they have different questions you can walk through and talking about age requirements, what are you allowing your child to to look at in terms of communication. And it really is helpful to have these conversations because a lot of parents actually don't feel comfortable talking about these topics, even though they know their kids are on social media, they're doing things, the kids are embarrassed by their parents, whatever it is. But this makes it a lot easier to say, hey, we want us to be safe, and you don't have to try to even think of what questions should I ask or what things should I talk about. So you see here, for example, there's you talk about the photos you post, the videos you post, asking permission and respecting other people's privacy. Even within the family, you take a picture of your sister and you can't just post whatever you want, online. You have to ask for permission. And then which is also good, and this is a really helpful question right there. Parent, do you agree not to overreact? I think a lot of kids feel like mom and dad always overreact about something. So you're also committing to giving them space to be themselves and to listen. I want to listen. And then you have this talk about situations like, okay, I got caught being somewhere I wasn't supposed to, and talking through things in advance. So you're being proactive about that. And this also gives you an opportunity to talk about, hey, this isn't just a one-time thing. We want this to be a conversation over time that we keep talking about it. And then they have, different other topics like screen time, social media, different apps. And then at the end here, you get to sign and say, hey, this is what we agreed to, and we're not going to bully other people. We're going to respect people. And you sign it. There's a power in signing something because you're agreeing as a family, we're going to abide by these rules and we're going to, bring it up as necessary.
Yeah, there's some really cool things in there. And what is also great about those different sections is that it will split those sections up for you so that you don't have to do them all in one sitting. So if oh, my family has a very short time frame that we can have these talks, you can do social media this week, you can do screen time in 2 weeks, you can come back to things in different ways. So David, thanks for sharing your experience with doing the Smart Talk. And wanted to hear a little bit more about your PTA's overall experience themselves using it.
Yeah, so we end up getting 51 families registered and participating, which was about 178 people we counted. Could have actually been more, probably was more, but we said 178 people. And that's easy to measure of who's participating. What's not easy to measure, or we believe it's contributed to a healthier community, in terms of we had these hard discussions of getting people in the mindset of we need to be safe, we want to be respectful, we want to look out for each other. That's a little harder to gauge, but I think if with programs like this, it contributes to the positive atmosphere, healthier atmosphere of taking care of each other emotionally, mentally, and being safe. And then at the end, since TikTok was actually one of our sponsors, we used TikTok to publicize, hey, we did the drawing for the grand prize winner, which is really cool. Some people were surprised, like, what? Our PTSA has a TikTok account? So we created it specifically for this, and we're going to keep doing that so we can publish things, which was really cool. And then we also gave runner-up prizes to, some of the people. We have given out earbuds. And then for everyone else, we gave webcam covers in the spirit of, web safety, of, covering up your cameras when you don't want to be, on camera.
Love a good webcam camera. It sounds like it was super successful, even though it was very untraditional from how
Yeah.
we would all imagine what a PTA event would have looked like before COVID-19. But also, we've heard from many PTAs that these new ways of facilitating programs have really helped them to be more inclusive and having families who previously would not have been able to participate being able to join them. So with talking about inclusivity, that leads us right into the 4 I's of family engagement. If you have already had the chance to attend our full programs workshop, you would have been introduced to the 4 I's there and how they relate to programming. Today, we are going to focus specifically on integrated and why it's important to start planning your program calendar now. Integrated means that we are thinking about what's happening during the school day when we are selecting programs for the PTA to do. So you want to be connecting any program to the curriculum that's in your school and creating activities that draw on what students are learning in the classrooms. So for online safety and digital citizenship, this would look like including teachers and asking for their input before, after, and during the program, specifically your librarian, your tech director, any other teachers who are using tech very heavily. But also specifically this year, we know that many schools quickly adopted online learning platforms, and students who are full-time in the classroom are also completing much more collaborative work online than they ever were before. So now, specifically in June, July, is a great time, if you have the opportunity to survey your teachers and ask them about how was the online classroom environment this past year? What was the culture like of students using these tools, many of them for the first time collaboratively? Are there behavior norms and expectations that the entire community would want to be setting together? Would it make sense for your PTA to kick off the year with a Smart Talk program or another one of our PTA Connected programs to ensure that everybody is on the same page? Like David was talking about, that we all have a shared language when we're talking about what's happening online. Oftentimes it's hard to discuss what's happening when you don't have the words. And starting your year off with one of these events is great. You can then also follow things up with many of our resources, or even plan to celebrate Safer Internet Day with us in February, if that makes sense for your PTA. So the other thing that I wanted to share, David was talking about older students and the Smart Talk, and I wanted to show a video that we have from a PTA in Washington State, and how they incorporated, you'll see, their librarian into their Smart Talk event with younger students.
Hi Odyssey Orcas, we want to tell you about a new event from the PTA.
Do you like texting and talking with your friends online?
Do you spend a lot of time playing online games or watching YouTube videos?
Then let's make sure we keep ourselves and each other safe online with the Smart Talk.
The Smart Talk is a tool that helps families set rules about staying safe online. You and your family can use the Smart Talk to have a conversation about using digital devices responsibly, like how much screen time is okay, or following rules about downloading apps.
The Smart Talk event starts April 12th and ends on May 12th. You get to win lots of awesome prizes too. Ms. Whitaker, our librarian, will pick winners on Wacky Wednesday between April 12th and May 12th.
You could win board games, Legos, football, art books, lunch with Miss Whitaker, or even a bike.
Here's how you can participate in the Smart Talk event. Go to thesmarttalk.org with your parent or guardian, complete the Smart Talk contract. Then take a photo of how your family spends time together away from devices. Send your contract and photo to odysseypta.connect@gmail.com. That's it.
So on April 12th, have the Smart Talk and stay safe online.
So as you can see, PTAs can really make these resources their own and put their own spin on it. Odyssey PTA, similar to David's experience, had a wonderful time hosting a Smart Talk, and they worked with their librarian to help them deliver their program. Um, all of the resources that National PTA creates for you are created as a member benefit. They are there for you at pta.org/programs. You can explore all of them. Every single program will always have this set of resources. So there will always be resources to help you plan, to help you promote, to help you host, and to help you kind of wrap up your event at the end. And when we look at the resources for PTA Connected specifically, you're going to get info on how to set up for success. You'll also get full scripts and panel facilitation guidance. So if you wanted to include a event where people come and sit and listen and talk, you have those there for you. So if you wanted to walk through a PowerPoint, it's there. If you wanted to facilitate a student panel, there's all of the guidance to do that as well. And then we also have drag and drop social media posts that you can use to promote. David, were there any of these resources that your PTA used in planning and hosting your event?
Yeah, we used specifically one of the handouts, which was, it had different like I think it was a 12-page article, talked about a lot of FAQs about Instagram. So there was a good discussion about that. And another topic was cyberbullying, which was really good because even though, schools generally try to push back and not have an environment of bullying, cyberbullying does occur, and it's good for the parents to be aware and the kids knowing how to deal with it and building that confidence that, oh, I can talk to, dad and mom about that. Another thing it addressed was, media literacy, like addressing fake news when things are just being thrown out there. We have to be careful because just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true. And then also a short thing about TikTok and, using apps in general.
Yeah, so we also have, that was a great segue to this next slide, tons of resources so that you as the PTA leader don't have to feel like you need to be the expert or that you need to find an expert. We on the programs team work directly with many of the online safety nonprofits that you've probably heard of before. So Connect Safely, Common Sense Media, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, as well as working directly with the various app companies to learn about how their app works and how we can help parents to better understand those apps. So as David was sharing, all of those resources are there for you to, if you are going to be in person and you want to print them out, you can print them out, but you can also drop links into emails. You can spread them out across the year and share them with people at any time. So you can also put them in social media posts. You don't have to commit to hosting a full sit-down program. You can share these resources anytime that you want. They are also there for you. And speaking of new resources, we also spent much of our energy this year in creating videos and workshops for PTA leaders to use as well. So Colin, I know that you participated in some of those. Can you talk a little bit about the connections that we're able to make with some of these tech sponsors and how we're able to really get the parent voice into conversations with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've ever tried to contact Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. It can really be this like endless cycle of, you're trying to find information and you just can't find it. So, we actually have that ability to, send an email, pick up the phone, and get a hold of some of these people directly and say, this is what we're hearing from parents. How are you addressing it? Right. I remember the first thing I think that we did is the PTA Connected was the Instagram guide. Right. And so I'm a manual reader personally, right? When I get a new piece of technology or something, I pull out the manual and I read it. Right. And we don't have that with social media. But this was a way that a parent could literally pick up a guide and walk through it and understand some of the features that were included in some of these things and how to use them to keep their kids safe. So even if you didn't have an Instagram account per se, you could walk through it with your kiddo and say, oh, I know that you can block certain words from comments, and this is how you do it. Or you can, block users or mute them or whatever that looks like. And this was just a really good way to show that. So we know that these companies are listening, and they're asking us, specifically at PTA, what we're hearing from parents, that things that need to be included in their apps.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And there are lots of feedback that we are able to give to them. And throughout the year, one of the biggest things that changed last year was being able to open up lots of events to more people. So previously, we would go in person at a local PTA and have a really in-depth online safety event that a partner could attend. We're now able to do all of those online, which is great. So if you aren't already signed up for our weekend update newsletter, I would highly suggest that you do, especially in the months of October and February. We host many, many workshops where oftentimes you have the opportunity to ask questions directly of these tech companies. One of the smaller videos on this slide is from a workshop with Google where they had the representatives who build the products on the call with us, answering questions about how to best use Google Classroom at home and all of the different safety settings that parents can use. We also have videos that we've been creating that are shorter than 10 minutes, so between 5 and 10 minutes, that help you with device settings, that introduce the Smart Talk, that are ways that you can send them out to your family so you can start talking about online safety in different ways. And with that, we are at the end of the workshop. If you have any questions about PTA Connected, I will stay on and answer them in the chat for you. But as we're wrapping up, I just want to once again thank Colin and David so much for being here and sharing with us today. I wanted to remind you that if you haven't checked out the other programs, that we have many programs in various different content areas, all of which that will have similar resources to this available for you. And I hope that we see you soon and that your PTA has a great school year.